Hey there, CJ Math students, and welcome to Homework 1.1 Rational Numbers Intro. On homework videos, what I usually do is I do the odd problems with you, so you should copy down what I do, and then you do the even problems on your own. Notice there's no calculator allowed on tonight's homework, and this is a preview, so we'll be learning more about this throughout next week. So the instructions. First, rewrite each expression vertically, then line up the decimals and find the sum or difference, it should say, because some of them are subtraction problems. So remember, when you add and subtract decimals, you must line up the numbers by their decimal place. So, for instance, we have 6.3, and then you have to line up this 0.669 right underneath it by its decimal place. So 0.669, just like that, and we're subtracting. And when I have empty spaces like that, I always fill them in with zeros. So I'll fill them in with zeros. So notice I can't do 0 minus 9. I can't do 0 minus 6, so I have to borrow from the 3. I'll do that now. I'll turn that into a 2, and this becomes a 10, right? But I still can't do 0 minus 9, so I borrow from the 10. I turn that into a 9, and this becomes a 10 right there. So now I have 10 minus 9, which is 1, 9 minus 6, which is 3. I can't do 2 minus 6, so I have to borrow from the 6. Turns that into a 5, and this into a 12. 12 minus 6 is 6. Bring down your decimal point eventually, right there. And then 5 minus 0 is obviously 5. So there's your answer, 5.631, and A is your answer. Number 3, again, line up your decimals. It doesn't matter which number you put on top. 0.5 plus 6.77. We have an empty space, so we need to fill it in with a 0. I'm adding, and I can go right to work. 0 plus 7 is 7. 5 plus 7 is 12. I want to carry a 1 here. And then 1 plus 0 plus 10. That's not 10. That's 1 plus 0 plus 6, is 7. So that's not 727. Put down your decimal, 7.27. And B is your answer. And number 5, 4 minus 1.1. So here's 4, and then 1.1. And you're wondering, well, where's the decimal place in 4? Well, it's not there, so you could put a decimal right after it and fill it in with a 0. And we're subtracting. I can't do 0 minus 1, so I have to borrow from the 4, make that a 3, put down a 1 there, and that's now 10 minus 1, which is 9, 3 minus 1, which is 2, 2.9. And the answer, D. Next section. First, rewrite expression vertically, then find the product. Be sure to swoop your decimals in the end. So when multiplying decimals, you don't have to line up the decimals. Sometimes they may line up, that's fine. But you do have to count how many decimals or numbers behind decimals that you have, so you can swoop that many times in the end. For example, number 7. We'll start all the way to the right this time. 5.5 times 2.7. So here my decimals are lined up, but that's just by happenstance. You don't actually have to line them up. So let's actually go ahead and multiply. I'll do the first row in blue. 5 times 7 is 35. Carry your 3. 5 times 7 is 35 plus 3 is 38. Always, always, always lay an egg before you start your next row. I'll do the second row in red. 2 times 5 is 10. Carry your 1. 2 times 5 is 10 plus 1 is 11. Now let's add these up. So we have 5 plus nothing is 5, 8 plus nothing is 8, 3 plus 1 is 4, and 0, nothing plus 1 is 1. So notice that's our answer, but we have a decimal point here and a decimal or a number behind a decimal point there. So we have a total of 2 numbers behind decimal points, so that means we need to swoop 2 times here in the end. So we start at the end, we swoop once, we swoop twice, and there's our decimal point right there. So 14.85 is our answer, D. Next one, 0.2 times 1.51. Notice how the decimals don't line up this time, and we're still going to get the right answer, right? And in fact, it might be easier to write the longer number on top. So 1.51 times 0.2. Again, decimals don't line up, no big deal. You only have to worry about them lining up when you add and subtract, right? So let's go ahead and multiply. 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 5 is 10, so put down a 0 and carry a 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. We don't have to do any more because the next line is going to be nothing but zeros, so we're basically done. What we do have to do, though, is say, hey, I have 2 numbers behind the decimal point here, and I have 1 number behind the decimal point there. So how many times should I swoop in the end here? I should swoop 3 times in the end, right? So start at the end once, twice, 3 times, right? So my answer, 1.5 times 0.2 is 0.302. And you're probably asking yourself, wait, we multiplied. How did the number get smaller? Well, basically, this is saying almost, what's 20% of $1.50 almost, right? So if I said, hey, you got $1.50 in your pocket, all I want is 20% of it. I don't even want half of it. You can see, oh, you want less than $1.50. You can see how that number would be smaller, right? Right. The even problems, again, are yours to do on your own. Remember to swoop your decimals. So this is what we were working with today in class, the percent of. Remember, percent of means you want to multiply, right? That phrase, percent of, you want to multiply, right? So what is 50% of 16? So we'll take 16 and we just want times 0.50. So remember, turn the percent into a decimal by going once, twice. It's 0.50, and then just multiply. So we have 0. 0 times 1 is 0. Lay your egg. 5 times 6 is 30, so 0, carry a 3. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 is 8. And let's add it up. So we get 0, 0, 8. Notice again, you have 2 numbers behind the decimal, so you're going to have to swoop twice. Now, I just did all that math, and it seems like, all right, I get it, it's 8.0 or 8. But really, you could have just looked at this right off the bat and said, 50% is just half. And this problem is saying, what is half of 16? Half of 16 is just 8. So you could have done that mentally as well. All right, number 13. It says, what's 25% of 20? So here's 20. Remember, change this to a decimal. So times 0.25 and multiply. 5 times 0, 0. 5 times 2 is 10. Lay your egg. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 2 is 4. Add it up. 0, 0, 5. Your answer is not 500. Remember, you've got to swoop. You have 2 numbers behind the decimal point, so therefore you have to swoop 2 times. Once, twice. And your answer is 5.0 or just 5. Okay. Number 15. What is 40% of 50? All right, so 50 times, you guessed it, 0.40. And let's multiply. 0, 0, lay your egg. 4 times 0, 0. 4 times 5 is 20. Add it up. 0, 0, 0, 2. And again, you have 2 numbers behind the decimal, so you're going to have to swoop twice. Once, twice. So your answer is 20.00 or just 20. Again, evens are yours to do. What does percent mean? You should look back in your notes right now. You're opening up your binder. You're saying, all right, I'm trying to find percent. I know we did that definition. It means per 100 or part of 100. Sorry about that. Go back down to that. So per 100, literally per 100 or part of parts per 100. Okay. All right, and then we're going back to that whole idea of what if our world was a village and it was only 100 people? And this topic, we remember in class, was about hunger, and this one's about electricity. So this one says 24 people do not have electricity, whereas this one says 76 people do have electricity, okay? So we can almost write this as a percent since it's out of 100, right? Per 100, this is 76% have it and 24% do not have it. So if I said, all right, calculate the number of people who don't have electricity in a village with 200 people. So let's make our world a little bit bigger. It's 200 people. And I said don't have it. So you're looking at this 24%. So times 0.24. And oops, I'm doing an even problem for you. I should be doing the odd, but oh well. So we do 4 times 0, 0, 4 times 0, 0, 4 times 2 is 8. Lay your egg. And then we say 2 times 0, 0, 2 times 0, 0, 2 times 2 is 4. Add it up. That's not our answer because remember we have 2 numbers behind the decimal point. So we got to swoop twice. Once, twice. So our answer is 48 people, not just 48, 48 people do not have electricity. So when you do numbers 19 and 20, please give me like not just a number, but a number and explain what that number means. All right? That's it for homework 1.1. Call me if you have any questions. You have my number in your assignment notebook.